So, just based on the conversation and some of you guys bringing up the emotions that you had gone through after you had given birth, I really wanted to touch on what was your postpartum experience like, and did any of you suffer from postpartum depression? I think that's something that we don't often acknowledge in mothers, because when you become a parent, you're expected to be joyful, be grateful, be happy that you just gave birth to a kid, and we don't often touch on the fact that that may not necessarily be the emotions that you're going through right after birth. And because there's like stigmas around being depressed after having a baby, and like oftentimes we don't want to hear that mothers may not necessarily be in this joyous state. So I did want to ask, like, what were some of your emotions and feelings during the postpartum period?
I definitely had prenatal depression. So the way that the medical system is that they treat you like you are going to do something to your child once the child's born. Like it's gonna be full-blown PPD, and CPS has to be at your house, and like all this shit. So when my doula told me, don't be too honest with your doctor or your social worker, because they will assign you a caseworker, and the chances of them taking your kid away or something is like up there. So I had to lie. I had to lie at every single one of my check-ins with the social worker, because like I didn't want to risk it. So before, a couple weeks before she was born, she was late, the social worker like asked me like a series of questions. I got to fill out a questionnaire, of course, they make you do that all the time. And she was like, okay, do you still have like suicidal thoughts? Do you still, are you still upset? Do you still have insomnia? Like all these things. And I was like, no, I don't. Even though I did. I wasn't suicidal at that point, but I was definitely like not sleeping at all. And it was impossible. It's still impossible.
I feed her, and like 20 minutes had passed and she would not stop crying. And I was like about to have a breakdown. I was like, what is going on? Like, and I just felt hopeless. Like, I don't know what to do. Like I literally don't know what you want. Like, I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. And I woke my partner up and I'm like, you need to help me, like, because this is not working. And he didn't know what to do either. And I was just like, we're too helpless, like what the hell, like, because I was hoping like, all right, he got it, like it's just me. And like when he couldn't do it either, I was like, I felt even more helpless. And like till this day I have anxiety with her crying. So like sometimes I'm able to shut it out, but there have been times where like she's crying, she won't stop, and I'm like, I just have to take a walk. If I stay in this house and I continue to hear her cry, like I'm gonna want to break something. Like this is like, I don't know, like having the feeling of, although I know I'm a good mom, in that moment it's like I'm not being the best mom I can be, because I can't even stop my own child from crying. Like, what am I doing wrong right now? And even that like idea of me feeling anxious like took a lot for me to kind of overcome. But I like I said, just take a walk and like just try to take deep breaths and not
take a break.
Yeah.
Like knowing that is really important.
Yeah. And also knowing like my partner, but it's so easy for him because he doesn't have the same issues that I have. So he's like, babies cry. And I'm like, I know that. Like, it seems so simple, but like even telling myself that like, okay, babies do cry. And I would like time myself. Like, oh, it feels like it's been 30 minutes, but she's actually only been crying for 5. Like, that's not that bad, and just like trying to check in with myself and be mindful of like what's actually transpiring and not going over a flow, which is what I tend to do a lot.
Yeah, that's hard. I remember I had a really hard pregnancy to begin with, and I was sick, also working excessively, and just so I was in labor for like 18 hours, and like I couldn't eat, I couldn't drink. My dad actually is a physician, he's a homeopathic physician, so he gave me some stuff to speed up my labor because I was so weak that like I don't know what would have happened, So the day when we came home and during like my postpartum period, from the hospital, I just had to sleep the first night, wake up only to feed him, but then I was breastfeeding. But I literally had to go in the other room and just sleep by myself, and then automatically my partner, because at the hospital, they're like, if she doesn't want to be around the baby, if she doesn't want to do this, those are signs of postpartum depression. And I'm like, yo, it's been 7 hours. I need to sleep. Like, what do you want me to do? I can't do anything. Like, I'm physically immobilized, like my back feels broken, and I'm in so much pain. It's like
you also shouldn't be allowed to have a break.
Yes.
Like, it's okay, I love my child, but kill me. Like, I don't want to be with her for
I know, and then in his head, these people that are supposed to be specialists, being like, these are the signs.
That's crazy.
In a day, you're really right. In a day, just give me some. I know you're concerned, and I know you love me, but just give me a moment, And I actually got my placenta made into pills, and that was helpful for me because I have suffered from ebbs and flows of like depression and specifically. In like my teenage years, so I knew that there was a high chance of me getting postpartum depression, and I got those placenta pills, and they actually helped me a lot, and I wish.
Sorry, did you have to sign off on your placenta?
To get it taken back, like I don't remember actually.
I had to sign a paper
taken
too.
Away. To get it taken away.
To have it.
Oh, to keep it.
Yeah, because they'll take it.
Because sometimes they
did.
won't allow you to. But kudos to you for allowing, like, being able to even get those into pills. I wanted to do that, but it's like a lot of money.
It is a lot.
Like I was surprised. I was like, okay, I'll just like put my savings, and I'm like, oh wait, that's like almost all my savings. Like,
I found a good company that I'll share with you. I'll send that, to you guys. They're in New Jersey. I don't know if they service New York, but for anyone, that might be listening that's in Jersey that might need it. For me, it was really, really helpful. And they gave me a tincture. So it was like 2 different types of pills and a tincture. And for me, it's helpful. And also, when he goes through, the baby, when he goes through like different transitions and stuff, it's helpful to give them the tincture.
Oh,
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's supposed to be amazing, but unfortunately, I mean, you have this one resource, but like most of these things that are the most helpful are like the most expensive, so it's like not really accessible for people who are more likely to suffer from things like PPD,
So I mean, maybe you can make them accept. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I know you're a doula in training, or even if you got your doulaship already, but letting them know, that these things are needed, because I think it can be made accessible. Mine was $350, so that's like that's not a huge. It's not $1,000.
I saw ones that were for $1,000.
I know, and I was like, can't do that.
Okay, I guess that we were just planting you, like going in some dirt.
So it was $350. So I think it's possible, and I know it's not possible for everyone, but that it is possible for them. It might be helpful because the postpartum period is very difficult.
But it's interesting though that you brought up that the hospital had said to your partner, oh, if she, needs to be away from her baby, then that means those are signs of postpartum. And it just shows that like there's like a huge like lack of like empathy for pregnant people that automatically because during my training we did have cases where women who were already certified doulas would say I've been doula for women who, because they had suffered from depression, automatically have ACS at the hospital after they give birth and are ready to take their child away, and that there's no real support for women who have suffered from depression well before pregnancy, and that there's no support for mental illnesses, but and that we automatically assume that you can't then take care of your child because of it. So that's also just really interesting too, that automatically they're already putting that fear into our heads that because then think about someone that may not necessarily know about those signs and about what that really is, that they're being told, well, if you need to be away from your kid for a few hours, automatically, and it's and that
why would I ever say anything?
Exactly.
We're creating these systems of fear, and I think that's why support is so important. From like you guys said, community support is so important, because it sucks that we really can't trust care providers because they're not set up to actually care for us. That it's more to make money off of us, and that these systems don't actually have support for pregnant people. You know what I mean? Because you guys obviously need, and that we all need, and that support really does come from community. It really just does come from community. So I really appreciate you all this is also very helpful to me, but I really appreciate you all saying these things because it kind of shows that as a community we really have to step up for pregnant people and for mothers because it's something that you guys really truly need, and that we know for a fact because we know how the system works. We know that it's not going to come from the system at large, it's going to come from the surrounding communities.
And I think also like empowering women like during their pregnancy to know what they want to ask for from their provider. You know, even though I know sometimes it's difficult to be able to find the providers that you want because insurance issues, it's very, very expensive to have a baby. You know, I don't know, like for me it was very expensive, you know, so it's like knowing the things that you want to ask your provider, what they specialize in, what do they cover, like how, I wasn't suited with that, you know, no one said, these are the things that you know that you may want and make sure you ask your provider. Like I didn't want to give my child shots, so we didn't, you know, in the hospital. And if you don't give them a vitamin K shot, I believe, they can't get a, what is it now?
Social security?
No. They can't get, oh my gosh. Yes, you can't get circumcised.
Oh, really?
Automatically, they give that to the baby.
Yeah, they get, and then you have to tell them.
So you have to tell them where they're good
Yeah.
for everything.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'm like, they gave my baby a shot already?
Yeah.
I didn't know
They
that.
do all of it. When they take your baby away, they do all of those things.
Yeah.
And I think that that's also something important to know because you don't have to take it.
Yeah.
Legally, you do not have to do that, you know? And like, you can say, I don't want it, you know? And then they'll say, well, you sure? Like, blah, 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 you know? But they also have pure, or like not organic, but pure vitamin K shots with no preservatives.
Yeah.
And they didn't tell me that until I said, I want my child to be circumcised. You know, well, we can't do it unless he has a vitamin K shot. I don't want it. You know, what are the alternative options? Finally, hours later, another nurse came in and said, hey, you know, we have a vitamin K shot that has no preservatives. Would you want to go with that? Of course I want to go with that. You know what I mean? And it's like, why was that never initially?
Yeah, but they don't
exactly.
want. It's like they don't want to give us options.
Yeah.
You know, and I was so thankful that my doula was there in the hospital with me, because we had to obviously go to the hospital afterwards, which I was dreading to go to, but you know had to, and they wanted to take her right away. They're like, well, we need to check her, we need to like do all these vital signs, and my doula would like just kind of whisper like, you don't have to do that, like she can stay with you, you know, like they can do this afterwards. And I'm like, yep, no, she's gonna stay with me. And they're like, you know, kind of like looking confused, like they never had anyone like say no. And I'm like, no, you can come back, like we're not ready. And he's like, miss, like you don't understand, something could. And I'm like, she's fine, she's breathing, she's eating, like we're fine, you can come back.
I think they forget that people have been giving birth since the dawn of time, and that before these institutions even existed, they were like, when I think about midwifery and how midwifery is a very African, you know, like our ancestors like brought midwifery over here and over to the Caribbean. And during like my final project from my class, my family's from Jamaica, so I focused on like the Tweed people from Ghana in Jamaica, and how in Jamaica the midwives are called like nannies, and how then once like the medical industry like came into play, like midwives were kind of like shunned and removed, and that pretty much happened everywhere. But like these are very inherent like things that we naturally know how to do, but this industry just doesn't trust us, and they don't trust mothers, and we forget that it's like whether or not someone with a womb chooses to have children, it's a very biological thing. Like our bodies know what to do, and they're like this is like ancestral knowledge that we forget about. Like, this is ancestral. Yeah, this is ancestral knowledge. We know how to do these things, but they don't trust us. And like you said, like they automatically were like, "What are you talking about? You want your baby?"
Yeah,
they're like, "What do you mean?"
And
you want
about
your baby
time
with
too,
you?
it's like, well, we need to check her now so that we can be done with you completely, and we
I
can
think
move
they
on to
said
the
you
next
have up to
person.
like, I think I read that in hospitals, if you choose to give birth in hospital, you have up to like 18 hours, I heard. And if you pass a certain point, then that's when they'll force you to have a C-section.
Yeah.
Because they're like, oh, you have your allotted time, like, no, C-section.
The Business of Being Born is a documentary that I had watched in school, which really, like, years before I even thought of having a child, I was like, whoa, not going to a hospital, like, definitely having a natural birth, like, I never knew. And I know, like, so many mothers who, like, went to the hospital and was like, ended up having a C-section.
Yeah, it's
It
incredible.
doesn't matter to be like a young mom, a fit mom.
Doesn't
like
matter.
it's like, whoa, like what happened? Like what is going on?
1 second. So one of our panelists did have to leave, but I did want to like finish that segment off by saying that like this is something that I feel like we know how to do and is often neglected, that I feel like this industry doesn't often trust mothers to be mothers. For the final question, I did want to ask everyone, what does balance look like? Because I know the original question was like, how do you find balance? But then often knowing that like, it's not equal, it's not the same, everyone has their own ideas of what balance looks like. So I did want to ask you like, how do you find balance and what does that balance look like between parenthood and then your personal life and work? Like, how do you find that? What does it look like?
It takes time, one, and time management definitely is the biggest thing. You need to know when you're doing what priorities, what are your priorities. That's what's been helping me. But I definitely didn't have any of that when she was born, so I'm only now, when she's 18 months, getting to that point where I'm like, all right, I need to like do this while she's napping, or get my life while she's napping, whatever it is. I gotta figure that out beforehand, like before I start my day.
I'm a stay-at-home mom at the moment, until I can find work. I have 3 interviews coming up, so like hopefully something will happen. But I feel like until I actually have money coming in, I'm not gonna have a balance. Because right now my focus is on her and just her. I try not to forget that I'm still a person. So I like find little ways to, I guess, reconnect with like my body. So if it's waking up extra early and like leaving her in her bassinet so I can like make coffee, or just like sit with my dog, or like go outside for a second. Or I'll take like extra long showers when my partner is home, because like that's where I feel like I can really think. And when he's home, it's just like, okay, here you go. So definitely like having him like support after he gets back home from work is great. But yeah, I feel like I'm gonna find it, but I just have to get my ducks in a row first.
Balance is so tricky, and I think I'm still learning it, because I think I compartmentalize my family outside of work. So those are 2 different compartments in my life, 2 different ways in which I need to function. And I think for me, finding that balance will be integrating the 2 and realizing that who I am is who I am with my family, who I am at work. I think both of those things need to have the space to intertwine. I'm not sure necessarily. I think I really agree with that too, like time management. And I've never been good at time, and now I have to be. I have no choice. Yeah, like you have to be in showers. Like the same for me. It's the one space where I've always felt really, really connected with water, but I'm just being washed over, and I kind of had mentioned that too, between me and Rory. That's our space also to commune sometimes, because he'll relax, or he's very interested in where the water is coming from. It's still a familiar space for them, and like being underwater. And I think that, taking the time to know your needs, and then taking the time to also know the needs of your family, and like figuring out those 2 and setting up a schedule creates really good balance, and like also balance with your partner in terms of what are our needs, like what's our family needs. Because as a mother, and also as a mother, is fortunate enough to have the relationship with your child's father or partner or whoever, I guess it's important, to find a balance in family too. Because for me, I feel balanced overall. So it's kind of long, but I'm still figuring it out.
Yeah, no, that's more than okay. I just want to say thank you guys for being honest, for being open, and trusting this space to share your stories. I'm very much appreciative of this, and just appreciate you guys being here. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to end it with? Is there anything you wanted to let out? mothers that are watching?
Definitely be gentle on yourself. We get mixed messages all the time from family, from friends, from the medical institution, society at large. But at the end of the day, it's you, it's your journey, it's your body, and that's your child. So take it one day at a time. If you gotta take it every 5 minutes at a time, that's cool too. But just like try not to lose patience with yourself. Also, there are hella baby apps that you can definitely download and like when you have a few seconds to like look at the bump was one that like really helped me. Because there's like lots of sections about like the fetal development and then after the baby's born, like development per week. Things that you need to ask your doctor at every visit. Same thing for when they're born. So there was a lot of like questions that I had that I was able to basically answer that way. So that was kind of good.
I think knowing what you want in your provider, because it is a very sort of, I don't want to say difficult position, but you want to make sure that you're able to define your parameters before you're in that position to have to like you will always have to self-advocate, but you kind of want to pass that over to someone that you trust because when you're in labor, you know there's a lot happening.
Oh yeah.
And you want someone that you know you can trust that will stand there by your side and say, this is what she wants legally, this is what she's allowed to have, and I am representing her, you know. And so I think if I had felt, if someone had given me all that information, it would be a little bit different. So I just suggest really defining what it is that you want a provider and making sure that provider matches up with that to the best of your ability. Financially, it's expensive, so we're fortunate enough to do that. Solidify that.
I'll just say be in the moment. Just be where you are. That's really easy to help.
So thank you. This is the first episode of the second part of So Rebel series, and I'm really grateful